Hey guys, what's going on? Sanjay here. Uh, we're about to start our second podcast, or rather, I should say it's a redo of the podcast because of technical difficulties, mainly my fault. Still getting used to using Streamlabs for my streaming video. Everything was fine. I learned that my tool here that I use for the streaming had the guests muted by default, which I'm not sure why, but at least I got that fixed. But anyway, welcome to Motivation Station, episode 2. Um, since it's a redo, the timing didn't work out for Rose, so Rose will probably make it to the next one now that I fixed the technical issues. So hopefully all that will be set going forward. But today it's just going to be me and a guest that Rose wanted to bring on. His name is John Holloway. He is uh, a computer technician. He has his own store. And we wanted to hear from his story. So we're very much looking forward to meeting him. But before we start that, I hope everyone's doing well on this Sunday. Our podcast is still going to be Saturday at 11 a.m. Hopefully we can keep that consistent. Hopefully I don't have any more technical issues. But the only thing I want to do a shout out for is I got a new mug that I'm super happy about. So I think I mentioned before, I'm a huge fan of Run the Jewels, RTJ, and I follow DJ Trackstar as often as I can, and I found his store, and I ordered a shirt and a mug, and I'm very happy with this mug. So shout out to DJ Trackstar. Thank you for making such an amazing mug and amazing music, dude. But anyway, let's see if we can bring in John. I believe he is connected up. I just need to bring him in. I think I might need to adjust his camera a little bit because I chose the wrong one. Let's see. Hey, John.
Hey, Sanjay, how are you?
I'm good, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing all right.
Good. Yeah, you know what? I'm just readjusting the camera on my end for you, which looks good. It is flipped because I invited you via Rose's link versus the separate link we had for you, but no big deal. I can always fix it later. But I think I want to say it's working better now. I'm gonna go check out my channel just to verify. Let me see. Trying to see why this is not coming up here now. Manage videos. I didn't make it public. I'm a genius. All right, so now it should hopefully be better. Let me check this. John, go ahead and talk for me real quick.
Okay, can you hear me okay?
Oh yeah, it's working, buddy. We're all good to go.
Okay.
Super stoked. All right. Well, once again, thanks for joining, everyone. This is John Holloway. John, go ahead and go tell us about yourself a little bit.
Okay, well, I'm John Holloway. I have a shop in Manville. We do computer repair, setup installations, and also sales. Do basic lessons. Got into it back when I was back in the I guess later 90s or so. I got into it through school, working at a shop. I was going to school and I was learning about electronics, and we were learning about computers. And when we learned about computers, we were learning about how they would become in the world that they're in today, where they can control your computer, your TV, your music, your lights, your windows, doors, doorbells, all that good stuff. And we went further into talking about Windows, and of course, I assumed I knew what everybody else was talking about or knew about it. And I looked at the window and go, yeah, we're still talking about windows and doors. I learned later that I should have asked the question, what windows are we talking about? Because that's when I found out, after working somewhere as a assembly line, on an assembly line, that the windows they were talking about were actually the Windows operating system on the computer. So that's where I got the thought, you know what? I can't be the only one afraid of asking questions and don't want to kill a computer and be blamed on it. So I wanted
Right.
to
Yeah.
teach computers.
Mm, mm. No, that's great. Yeah, it's kind of like, you ran into a situation that was like, huh, let me take a look up better into this, because like not only that, John, I feel like you got into it not just for yourself, but you mentioned that it was just being able to help others as well, right?
That is correct. Yes. Yeah. I have a lot of senior citizens that are my clients, and they keep asking me, "Am I going to do lessons? Am I going to do lessons?" I say, At first, I was like, "I don't know if I want to do lessons," and then as my mother was telling me it, and I got a word from the Lord telling me, "You know what? This is your calling. This is what you got to do. You're in it for the lessons. There's a lot of people who need your help." So, starting up a class, restarting my original plan for computer basic computer lessons
Hmm.
for senior citizens, job seekers, retirees, parents, and clients of shelters, and whoever else needs the support.
No, which is, like I said, fantastic. Because we definitely live in an age where technology is advancing, and is advancing a lot quicker than we all are prepared for it, or expect it to. But it's always nice to have somebody who is dedicated to do such a task as teaching others. And I'm sure as well as I do, since we're both like in the IT business, that like patience is a virtue, and you sometimes have to be very, very patient with like people, and some of these people, they don't like, you know like for example, in some of my work places I've worked, they know how to do like their one task. So if their one task is like, listen, go into Excel, do some spreadsheet stuff, do some things in cells, and that's it. And like that is literally all they know how to do. Like besides that, it's like, hey, can you check your speaker settings, can you see if this application, like they know not, like I asked the user once, what's can you click on the start menu so we can check something, and they're like, what's the start menu? And
Yeah,
and instead of like being rude to like, are you kidding me, it's like, no problem, like, because I understand where they're coming from. They literally just know, like on their desktop is an icon for Excel, open that, do your work, close it, and that's the end of your day. So to
yeah,
have somebody who's willing to not just relearn things for themselves, to be able to learn it so it's at a teaching level, and then teach others who are willing to learn. I think that is quite amazing, and I do agree with you that I think it is a sign, from above, that's like, hey, like this is what I was meant to do. That's how I felt about helping each other, helping others. Like I was
yeah,
always like a I want to help type of person, and computers were just a hobby for me because I loved like computer gaming, so I wanted to build my own computer and stuff like that. So I just kind of put like one and one together, and like here we are in this field of computers and being able to help, and I think it's a beautiful thing. It really is.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I learned something also from the clients. I learned I was working for a law firm, and the chief executive, how do you call that? Chief executive lawyer,
Mm,
his secretary, who might as well be a lawyer because she does all the writing for him. He spits it out in garbage, and then she writes it and translates it and makes him look like he's the genius that he goes into court and is.
yeah.
Uh, I learned from her, and she wasn't good on computers, but she was good as a secretary. I mean, she was an excellent secretary.
Mm,
I learned from her that there's more to Word, and that we look into the general, just using Word. There was templates and all kind of things. And she's sitting there. She's telling me I exchanged her computer for a new computer. It was faster. It was better. She said, "Oh, this is the worst thing I could ever have." So why? What happened? She said, "It's got none of my information on it."
uh,
Her information was on the server.
mhm.
Everything she needed was on the server. But what I didn't know is she had templates and shortcuts and all kind of things that made her life a lot easier.
Mhm.
I didn't know where to find it.
Mhm.
She pointed it out to me. Okay, I can find this. Okay, I
Mhm.
can find it. By the time I got done with it, she was like, "Oh wow, now this is a great computer." I was like, "Wow, I thought I did my job, but obviously there's more to it
Yeah.
because end user has to be able to use that computer the way they used it before. And a
Hmm.
lot of us just don't realize that. It's really the way they use it that makes us shine. If we don't know how they use it, and we don't get it to work the way they use it, then we're not really doing our job. And I use that in with the teachers, with the um, senior citizens, with anybody who has a computer. I want to make sure when I work on it, if I have to reinstall something, if I reinstall the operating system, it's got to look and feel the way that they want it to feel, and then my job is done. Because you can't just do it and walk away.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. You know what? Like, I think the beauty of working in technology, like it's not so much that we know every single thing, every single aspect of like technology and being able to do it, but I think a big aspect is also our willingness to admit to mistakes, right? We all make mistakes, and then but the thing is, it's how you treat the mistake afterward. If you're like, I messed up, like, now it's your problem. Like, I was trying to help you and it went worse. But it's either you take that route or you're like, oh, no problem. Let's see if we can continue trying to get this way back to the way you had it before. And same thing,
Yeah,
like I learned the same thing. Like, I feel like the one of the reasons I'm just like really good with computers is like, if it's something I don't understand or if somebody told me something, I'll be like, all right, let me get back to you, and I'll actually research it. I'll look into it, make my own notes, and then follow up with the user. But then when there's stuff like that, like they have their own templates, they had stuff like that, even like signatures, like so if somebody's using like Outlook and they have their signature saved in Outlook, and you
yeah,
reinstall the computer, that's gone. But like,
right, yeah,
it took me making mistakes to learn that, and now going forward, I'm like, all right, be better about this. So now when I work with users, I'm like, all right, do you have like this? Do you have that? Let me save this to like now that we have like cloud saving, we save everything to the cloud. So it's like it's easier to save stuff, because back then it was like, you save stuff to either a network drive or like a flash drive and then carry it over. But now like most companies, like, we use like OneDrive or something, Google Drive, something equivalent, so that everything is backed up automatically. So then it is easier to do transfer. But like that's what happens as time flows, that you just get used to learning new things and then adapting. But like just like you having that attitude that was like, oh, whoops, I didn't realize you had templates, but let's go grab that. And then you saw yourself, like once you got everything, then your client was just like, all right, now I have like an amazing computer, like thank you so much, John.
yeah, yeah,
It's definitely a beautiful thing. And like this is an art in itself, like helping people is one thing, but like, being able to put something that you're passionate about, something that you truly and deeply care about, with like how you help others, is like, that's the way I think like people should, like find their career or find their place in the world, or whatever you want to name that there.
yeah, yeah.
So going forward, what's your plan? Like, do you have? So you said you're going back to school or back. You're going to do some more basic training, basic learning.
Yeah. So what I started. It's been a long time coming, and now this is the year I'm going to actually push forward in it. Seeking sponsors and I'm seeking uh, grants. It's a HSS Adult Computer Learning Center um, for basic lessons, and the goal is to try to get money to involve anybody that I can who may be able to not afford it. That's why I want to do it as a nonprofit, and also I should get some grant money as being a nonprofit. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
there's like I said before, there's senior citizens, retired folks. There's young parents that are uh, getting involved with, or their kids are getting involved with computer to a level where they're like, I can't help you with that, and because they don't know
Mm-hmm.
what they're learning, or
Mm-hmm.
they're trying to write a report. They're
Mm-hmm.
doing a report. They got to do it on Word. Well, mommy, I don't know how to use Word. What's Word? And mommy says, or daddy says, you know what? I'm not sure. Let's go find Auntie. Let's go find. I'm like, well, your teacher can't help you with that. And then the teacher is expecting that you have a computer at home, then you should know how to use it.
Yeah.
We have computers in school. You should know how to use it.
Yeah.
They took out that course when I was working in a school district. They used to have classes, computer classes, that would teach the students how to use the computer, how to surf the internet, how to use these programs to create a document, um, to create a report, to put in Excel spreadsheet if you need to. They had that where they would be teaching the children this, but also while I was going to school, I watched them slowly pull it out, and they put it into the teacher's hands of the course that they're teaching. So a
Mm-hmm.
math teacher has to teach how to use the computer for math. Science got to go, okay, let's go do this, and we're going to look up this, and it's a lot more on the teachers to teach computer classes and watch the students as some of them that are themselves are trying to figure out what they're doing with it. So
Yeah,
I
no,
know
I mean,
there's
yeah, no.
there's groups
Sorry.
as well.
Mm-hmm.
There's I had a, what do you call those? I can't. A Girl Scout mom come to me, and she was saying, you know what, we need to do something about cybersecurity for the 6-year-olds and 5-year-olds. I'm
Yeah.
like, what do you mean? Well, and then she's talking to me. She's telling me, well, they're going online and they're surfing, and nobody knows where they're going, what they're doing, and they're playing games. They get involved in these games, and they don't know who they're talking to.
Mm-hmm.
There's somebody saying, "Oh yeah, I had that teacher." Da da da. What's your teacher's name? And that's a 30-year-old person. That's for it could be. And the kid's like, "Well, he had my teacher, so why shouldn't I give him my address? He's probably in my class." It's a bad idea. So, got to work down from those, to the younger students level as well.
Yeah, and I mean, like, and that's like I feel like it's like a double-edged sword, right? So like we're definitely entering an age where it's technology is the path that is gonna be like for students to learn. Like we're gonna use all this different technology we have now to teach math, science, geography, anything. And I agree with you. Like I think back then, even when I was high school, we did have computer classes that I appreciated, just because for me it was like an easy class, because like I know computers, so like going into it, but I still did learn a lot from my computer classes, which is great. But now it's like there's no more just like basic computer class. It's more like now we're going to use, like you said, computer for math, computer for science, whatever. But at the same time, so not only is the student learning, the teacher needs to learn how to use that technology as well. And I know there are like teachers who are on the younger side and they understand how to use computers, but like now it's just like everything kind of revolves around computers. And just as you mentioned, not just at schools, but at like my job right now, and plenty of other people who work in IT, cybersecurity is a huge threat because you don't know what's going on, and like I know like a lot of my jobs I worked at, even now and previously, we would do like phishing tests, right? So like we would get a scammy email that, like, if I didn't know better, I wouldn't, I'll just click it, right? So we got an email that's like, oh, hey, you won a $25 Dunkin' Donuts card. Now, mostly everybody loves Dunkin' Donuts, so it's just like, oh, great, cool. So you click on it, and it's like, oh, enter your email. And people don't realize that if you highlight over the link of the Dunkin' Donuts card, that it's going to some weird address. They don't notice that the email for the Dunkin' Donuts card is coming from not Dunkin' Donuts,
Yes.
They don't see like small misspellings, because some of the phishing tests we did is we spelled some words wrong on purposely, but it just goes to show that people don't read their emails. And like we do a lot of these tests within the company to just alleviate, like, hey, like, come on, be a little bit more diligent. But like in a real world situation, like in the world, like at schools and places that like might not have as tight security, people can easily infiltrate. And once the data runs so quick, once they're in. It's like, I don't want to say it's a scary world, but it is pretty scary in that sense.
Yeah.
I have a colleague that I worked with before, and he actually left the company that he was at to start his own company. And when he was leaving, I was his IT tech at the company, and he was like, hey, do you mind just being my private IT guy? And I was like, of course. I was like, because for me it was like extra money on the side or whatever, but it was like just being able to help a friend too. And he hits me up quite often, and like he gets phishing attempts from Google, or from Google. He gets texts that say, hey, this person is trying to reach you, and it'd be like his wife or his sister or whoever. And he's just like, but they would just call me if that was the case, right? But like it's like, this kind of intrusive attacks have gotten to the point that, like, they'll see a contact information and just be like, oh yeah, okay, he knows Elisa, let me go reach out to Elisa for him. And
Yeah.
it's very dangerous. Like, I actually get scams. I got a scam the other day that emailed me, and they're like, we know where you lived, and like they got my address from like a public domain, and then they wanted to Google Maps and had a picture of my car, and they're like, oh yeah, we know what your car is. And I'm just like, honestly, if you just look up my address, you can see that it's my car. And because like, I know my information exists on public domains, but like anybody else would just be like, oh my god, like what do you want me to do? And they'll speak, of course, it's always like, oh, send me Bitcoin, or send me some sort of money, or Apple cards, or whatever. But like, people need to learn, like, listen, like they shouldn't be put in a spot where they feel like they're so threatened that this is the only response. Like, okay, let me respond back to them. So it'd be nice to know people that, oh, you know what, I know somebody who works in IT, and like my one friend, he's like, oh, whenever you get something like this, let me take a screenshot and send it to Sanjay, and then I'll get involved. I took a look at it, like, nah, this is a scam. Or if it says call a phone number and these people are like, oh, let me team viewer in, I'm like, don't do that, don't ever do that.
Yes,
So
yes. And then that's when, and then when that happens, because I get a lot of customers that happened to, and they're sitting there going, they got into my system and I don't even know how they got in.
yeah.
Well, they got in because you let them in and you don't realize it. They scare you, a scare tactic with oh, you got these viruses on your computer, and I can see this, that, and the other thing, and going on your computer, and then I can fix it for you, but I got to get into your system.
Yeah.
And they they get you to the website, you download the program, the remote access program, and now you're letting them in and not even realizing that you let them in. Now they're saying all this information is scaring you. You get into their bank, your bank account, and even if they don't use keystrokes to get into your bank account, they already got into your bank account. Now they can see, they say they're going to charge you $30 to help you clean it up. I'm sorry, it went to $300. We have to change that, and then they work you into trying to send them back to $300, and they, oh, sorry, if you sent back $3,000, and we're going to have to correct that, and it just leads on and on. A lot more people are realizing, you know what, turn off your computer at that point and call your bank to make sure nothing has happened, and then of course they got to get their computer cleaned up. But they don't realize that they were the ones that let them into their banking information and helped them take the money without realizing it.
And it happens so quick that, like, for someone who might not know, like, what to do per se in that situation, like these little clicks will just lead them to opening that door, and they're like, oh, I didn't know that happened. They just said click this, and I'm like, just them saying click this and you clicking it was the thing. But like I said, the bigger part to this is that, when this happens, like they don't know who to turn to afterward, and it's always troubling. And I'm thankful for people like you and I, where, like, I mean, I'll go out of my way, even if it's like, like a coworker or something that happened to, and even if it's like outside my shift or something like that, it's like, I'll make time. Let me try to help you the best the best to our abilities, But I would never leave anybody like high and dry when something like that happens. So I think that's why, like, my friend that left the company that still contacts me, we're very close. And like I told him, I'm like, look, even if it's any little thing, right? If I'm at work, I'll try to excuse myself for like a few minutes and call you back and make sure you're good. Like, I want to make sure you're comfortable. And I think that report doesn't just make them feel better, but now they're like, listen, I know you. If I know anybody else having this trouble, I'll have them reach out to you too. And I hope, like, people who watch this podcast, I'm definitely gonna throw your name out there to anyone and everyone I know, because it's like, I try my best to make time, but sometimes I can't. But now I have you, and now I consider you a friend already, John. I will one day meet you in person. We'll go out for coffee for real. But I'll be like, hey, listen, I know a friend that has his own little computer shop. He can definitely help you out with that, and I'll help you build your rapport, help you build your audience, stuff like that. Spread your word a little bit. And we'll definitely go from there. So like, I definitely want to get more of your contact information in general, but we'll converse about that later. But like, I mean, I 100% agree with you that, like, it's just like technology was made to make everything better and easier, and it's just like people just want to take advantage of that and just abuse the people who are kind of like helpless, you know. And
Yeah,
it is a sad time for something like that, but I am grateful for people like us to exist, you know.
yeah, yeah.
mm, but that's awesome. I don't want to take up too much of your time because I know you're still doing your stuff at your shop today. I added your link to your website, hsscomputer.com, I think it was. I have it in the description already. So people are more than welcome to click it and check it out there.
Yep.
Feel free to share any other social media with me and I'll add it to the description at a later time. But is there anything you want to say or add before we depart ways here?
Um, well, always available. HSS Computer. You have my information at the screen bottom. Should I give my phone number? I can give my phone number.
Yeah, yeah.
908-541-0528 or HSS Computer at hsscomputer.com. And it's a family business, so if I'm not available, my son or my daughter will be available and could always get in touch with me. And but one big thing to everybody: make sure you back up your information, not just on a flash drive and not just on a backup drive, but there's also the cloud that's available. Those are 3 ways that you should back up your information. That way you always have it on the cloud, and you'll always have it. Well, they're I forget if they call that tangible or non-tangible. The flash drive is vulnerable to destruction, and an external hard drive definitely vulnerable to destruction. You drop it and it's already gone.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
Flash drive, it can overheat. Actually, I got to test one I put in a dryer and make sure it's still working. I use that tool. But yeah, flash drives a good way to transport it from one point to another. Backup drive, either a hard drive or a solid state drive. You use that to back it up and keep it that way. That way you only use it as a backup when you need it, and test it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think to piggyback off you also, if you have the possibility, I know it might be a little bit annoying to do multi-factor authentication, do it. That means you'll get a text or a call notifying you when you're logging into a system. So like if you get a call when somebody else is logging in and you're like, hey, I'm not logging in, why am I getting an authentication? That's just more protection. But on top of all that, if you don't understand anything we said, please feel free to reach out to John, and he can definitely help you out with any of those services. John,
Yeah.
It has been an absolute pleasure. I think we should have you on the show again at a later point just to check in on you and see how you're doing with all that. I'd love to do maybe like a follow-up over time with people, guests that we have on our show. But absolute pleasure to have you today, man. And I just want to say cheers, buddy. And I hope you have yourself a good Sunday. And we'll talk soon, all right?
Talk soon.
All right, take care, buddy. Oh man, what a guy! I think I connected with John almost immediately. So Rose did mention that like she had a guest. She told me that like she met with him beforehand, and we were actually planning to meet him together like over a phone call. And she had dedicated time. She did everything on her end correctly, but I didn't realize the day was Halloween, and I was like, "Crap!" Like I'm going trick or treating with my daughter. Like I'm not gonna be able to make it if you want to talk to him. But then he did find the time to talk to me like the day after, and like the conversations we had were very comfortable. They're very just like relatable, just because like we're both into like the computer field kind of like area. But I mean, I just appreciate that too, because like he kind of works the way I do, where it's like we don't just help just because, oh yeah, it's business for us, it's money in our pocket, anything like that, but we're just trying to further educate people to help disastrous problems for them in the future, or like at least have someone to lean on if they ever need help. So I mean, I was so happy John was here for that, and I'm here for that too. So anybody ever needs help, please feel free to reach out to me too. But me or John, at least now you guys know 2 people. I just wanted to keep this stream was quick and short, and I know it's going into a little bit of a half hour, and I apologize for Rose not being able to make it, but hopefully next week everything will be clean. She has another guest coming next week. I don't want to give too much detail about that, so I'm gonna leave that kind of as a question mark for now. But anyone who stopped by, I appreciate you stopping by. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends about it. Hoping that we can podcast every week, Saturday at 11 without any troubles. But anyway, thank you all for coming. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday and have a motivated day. All right, take care.